So I live in Cyprus. Do you know where is it?
Yes.
Like, do you know that there is north and south? What do you know about Cyprus?
I know on the globe where it is, and I can point it out. Do you want to tell me something about it? Is this a history lesson?
Okay, so I will tell you about it, what makes me love it. I don't know about history. The nature, it's like an island on the Mediterranean Sea. And it's so beautiful, like the clouds, the sea. And I live nearby the beach. And I feel that it's so healthy to go every day and see the waves, the clouds, the moon, especially at night where there is not too many people. I don't understand where does this good feeling come from. I don't understand what's the relationship, but I do feel that it's like as important as the food or as sleeping, and it makes a big difference on my day, even on my performance with comedy, with the work, with the people around me. So I'm excited that you are also life coach, so you know more. So what's your take on that?
Well, several different things. If you actually put your bare feet in the sand, they say when your body touches the actual earth, that like grass and sand actually releases, they're called negative ions, and our body feels those negative ions, and it's like, why does this feel so good? But there is a chemical reaction with negative ions in our body.
Wow.
So part of that, and then sunshine is vitamin D, and a lot of times vitamin D helps our immune system and is really good for our bones. And you know, being out in fresh air, you know, that can help you just breathe fresh oxygen, you know, not the air that's in our home, which usually has toxins and pollutants in it. And then I think different people have a different connection to what rejuvenates them. And I think you sound like you've discovered, you know, what really rejuvenates you is some sort of connection with nature. But there is something very powerful about water. Water has always been kind of like this universal symbol of healing. Water is very cleansing. And also just, I think, connecting with, like, if you're seeing an ocean or waves, that's, you know, it's kind of like, okay, there's something more powerful in the world besides my brain. And, you know, but then to have it be so beautiful and to have it be so calming, there can be like this trust that like, I'm okay and the world's going to be okay. And like, what was I worrying about? You know, so there's kind of like a multi-level thing there. And I'll pause there.
No, it's so interesting. And so, to be honest, when I watch the waves, it makes me think about two things. The first thing is that the sea keeps moving, you know, it's always moving. And that's why it's alive, it's clean, because it's 24/7 moving. And the second thing is sometimes there are big waves, sometimes there are small waves, sometimes you don't even feel them, which makes you feel that this is life, like one day ups, one day downs, it's not static. So this also makes me feel good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's like the unpredictability, but also the comfort of like how regular it is. It's very rhythmic as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I also love, I don't know, it's the first time I live like this, but I feel like whenever you try something new, it's like you open a door and you go in, and it's an experience, could be bad or good, depending on your take. But so I wake up at 8 p.m., 7 p.m. That's like my morning where people are going to bed. And yeah, I would do an open mic, I would work out or stretch, and I would cook, live my day, and then midnight, I will walk by the beach. And the sky at night, when you go every day, it's so it's dark, but some days it's so beautiful. Some days like the stars, how the moon is moving, and some days it's also scary and so dark. So I love this, and I also love that I feel like people and the light and everything we see is always distraction from the present. So when I walk at dark and at night and I listen to my comedy sets, I feel that's the best time to come out with new premises and to focus on myself, because I'm in the dark and my eyes cannot see so good. It's just the sky dark. That's yeah, I will pass too.
Yeah, you're definitely, they call it, you're a night owl. There's something that resonates with, I mean, I guess you like the beach, but it's also sometimes people that have a lot of sun directly on their skin, they don't function real well. And sometimes once the sun sets, it's almost like they come alive. I mean, you're not a vampire, but it's similar to a vampire. It's like, the sun is melting. It's like nighttime is the night that we feed and like enjoy our life. And you know, there's a whole thing called human design where you can run your chart and they can even see that you were maybe born this way based on different planetary alignments. But it sounds like you're discovering kind of who you are by seeing when your creative juices turn on and when they don't. So I'm definitely the same way. Like I function during the day because I have to get things accomplished with the rest of the world, but I would love to take an afternoon nap and then again wake up at 7 and then just go into the night. And being inside of a dark comedy club, like that internal markets, that internal place of like exchange of ideas and exchange, I can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
It's all about knowing yourself, and then knowing what works and what doesn't. A lot of us get so conditioned and programmed by what everybody else does or what we should do. And it's like really listening to like the nighttime is the right time for you, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I do one walk in the morning, and I actually also want to ask, I feel like you look good, so I think it's also, I want to ask you this question about the sun and sun cream. What's your take? Because the sun is bad, and when I bought sun cream, I feel it's also bad. So one friend, he told me he bought olive oil, so I was like, what is this science? He's like, no, a friend told me. So I was like, okay, I need to check it. So what's your take on that as well?
Oh my God. Well, I do have a license in dermatology. I'm an esthetician in the United States. So,
Okay.
but I don't practice much anymore, but I do know that, yeah, if you're getting too much sun, then your body will try to help defend from that, and you will develop wrinkles and brown spots. So it's almost like a little bit of sun is okay, but we already get that little bit of sun that we need. So usually too much sun can cause, skin cancer, brown spots, fine lines, wrinkles, and it can make you look older. And so if you don't care how old you look, then yeah, worship the sun. But the scary part is if you worship the sun too much and then you get skin cancer, then that could kill you. Who wants to die of skin cancer? Like, no way. But I mean, I live in Los Angeles, California, so it's sunny a lot. So I wear SPF 30 pretty much every day, from here to here, and even on the back of my hands, SPF 30, but I only use physical sunscreen. I don't use chemical sunscreens. So it should be at least a 30, and it should be physical, not chemical.
Okay, maybe you are talking to someone from Yemen, so I don't know. First of all, what's the PS30, or I don't know what you say that you wear PS30, right? See, I don't even know how to spell it back again.
Yeah, it's SPF, which stands for Sun Protection Factor. So SPF is sun protection factor, and it's a numerical value that in America we put on sunscreens. Is it SPF 30? Is it SPF 15? Is it SPF 50, and usually SPF 15 only protects you for like 40 minutes out in the sun.
Okay. So sorry, you put SPF what number?
30.
You put 30 if it's so hot or if it's not so hot, because they say that if it's more hot you have to increase the number, or no?
Technically, no, you need to increase how often you put it on. So yes, an SPF 50 might protect you for an extra 20 minutes, but that's not very much time, you know? So if you, and also usually the larger numbers, anything above SPF 30 usually has chemicals in it. So that's why I don't use anything above 30, because to make it last longer, they've got to add chemicals, and the chemicals cause free radical damage. And yes, you won't get sunburn, but free radical damage causes fine lines. So you won't get a tan, but you'll be wrinkled. And I don't put chemicals on my skin because I want to live to be 200 years old. So
yeah, me too. So life is good. So now when I buy sun cream, I have to buy something that's 30 or less. And use it. That's gonna be the best choice from the supermarket.
well, the ones at the supermarket probably are chemical as well.
What
You're going to
brand?
want to go to like a dermatology clinic or a drugstore or a plastic surgeon's office or a medical spa. The ones at the grocery store are usually pretty cheap, and they're pretty much all chemicals. And I don't put chemicals on my skin, but they'll block the sun, but then you'll be white and wrinkly, which that doesn't work for me.
See, that's the problem when people are broke. Then they have to, like, I feel like if someone doesn't have money to go to place for plastic surgery or anything, because what I do is I only walk in the morning for 1 hour under the sun, and that's it. I don't put sun cream, and I only have 1 hour early in the morning. And
Oh, you don't really need to worry.
yeah, that's what.
You're not laying in the sun for that whole hour, letting it beat on your face. You don't know.
Yeah, but if someone like it's better to use the one from the store rather than nothing if you're gonna stay for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, maybe I can do that, and then step by step, and then we'll go to plastic surgeon office. I think that's the best.
Yes.
Yeah. So
We'll
you
both get a facelift at the same time.
yeah, I really think that I don't know about this, but I heard is it Korea or yeah, they have everyone is doing like surgeries. They even have one town for this. Did you heard about it?
In Korea?
Yes.
I haven't heard about it, but I believe it. Yeah, everybody's obsessed with youthfulness and anti-aging. So I thought that was Beverly Hills, but okay, maybe it is Korea.
Yeah, but because some people think that we will be able to trick death with many ways. Some people think that one way is maybe we can be in an in machine, like we can take our conscious and leave this monkey body. And some people, they think that there is disease. Getting old is a disease that comes to our monkey body, and we can't get rid of this disease, and this body can stay young forever. What do you think?
Well, a lot of it is taking responsibility, educating yourself, being suspicious, being aware, doing your research. If you're, a monkey and you just are, susceptible to anybody's conditioning and programming and marketing and advertising, yeah, you're going to get some sort of disease that's going to kill you, in your 70s or 80s. But if you're educated and smart and cautious, you can do a lot of prevention. And it's kind of like seeking the truth. You want to seek the truth. But a lot of people don't have the time to, and they just believe what they're told, or they believe the advertisement, or they believe the marketing. And I'm like, that's all about just making money. So I'm doing the best that I can, but I really think if I want this body, whatever I drink, whatever I rub, whatever I, put on, whatever I spray, I want to know, what is this that I'm putting on my body? Because this right now is going to carry me around, my beautiful brain is going to, so I want to be able to have the energy, and I want to be able to do more things. So I think, they say ignorance is bliss, and I'm like, I would rather not be ignorant and be sacrifice a little bit of blissness if I can live to be 200 years old. So I think it's taking responsibility and being mindful and being curious, like, I know this Tide detergent that I'm washing my clothes in smells nice, but what is that smell? And why do I need that fragrance in there? And why is my detergent blue? Like, does that blue, like, it's just, when things look too good to be true, a lot of times they usually are. Okay, my clothes smell, that's a fragrance, that's not my body fragrance. And where did it come from?
Yeah.
Okay, and it's blue, like, that's a dye and a fragrance. That can I maybe avoid those two and still wash my clothing in something fragrance free that doesn't have dyes in it? Oh yeah, I can buy this brand. So like, I've just always am cautious of just, they say, there's a lot of functional medicine doctors that say we are living in a sea of toxicity. And so how can I reduce the amount of toxins that even I'm exposing myself to? So yeah, I mean, you can be dumb and ignorant and drink, follow, and, spread anything on you. Yeah, you might get sick and get cancer and die by 65. That's your choice. Or I think it's a choice, I mean, but you can't sit around and geek out and research everything. You can try to find some professionals that you trust, but I'm trying the best that I can so that I don't have to buy a new body later on, because I'm sure when they start putting our consciousness in other bodies, it's not going to be cheap either.
Yeah, 100. And that's like what I'm trying also to, I'm trying to look at it from a different point of view.
Yeah.
Some people like they don't have, they cannot get access to this. Like, okay, let's, this is so far. But for example, in Yemen, where I come from, I say that people don't die from old age. People still die from just circumstances in the country. And it's crazy when I see humans from Yemen in their like 20s, 30s, and they really look someone who lives in the US on his like 40s. Or and I see people also, they come to my Zoom, I do the open mics, and they are like 70, 80. And really, we think that humans don't even live to that age. So it's crazy how it's going on there. So that's why, like, I think that you need to, like, money is so important. Like, some people, they make bad example of money. Like, some people, they have money, and for example, they drive so crazy and they spend it on making their car voices bigger, or buy so much alcohol and go so hard on drugs, and people have the wrong idea of uh, being rich and this. But some people, they make money and they invest it on this body, on their mind, and they go to the best specialist in the world. And that's why I think it's so important to make money. If you really like, you can invest in yourself and everything. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it does also come down to moderation is the key. Anything, if you have a lot of money, then you have the opportunity to do things in excess, which could kill you sooner too. Like, I know like, I'm from a farm in Minnesota, and I know, like, some of the people where I grew up, like, they don't have a lot of money, which means they don't have access to some toxins and poisons. And they also are living, eating out of the garden because they have to. And sometimes they're better off, but it's like, it's always this moderation, they're less exposed to different toxins and poisons because they can't afford that perfume, or they can't afford that Glade plug-in, and sometimes the way they make their house smell nice is to open the windows and then you smell the pine trees, so it's not always about that having money is better or having money is worse. It's also, it's a personal responsibility, and it's a mindfulness and it's a consciousness that I think it's split. That's where the split is. It's not going to be the rich and the poor. It's the mindful and it's the aware and it's the consciousness level. And the rich people can be very consciousness minded and poor people can be very consciousness minded, especially if you really can tune into different, like, I don't know if you've ever studied muscle testing, but different energies of like, is this a high vibration or is this a low vibration? You can be a billionaire and be a drug addicted fucking asshole, excuse my language, you can be poor and be a homeless asshole, and you can be poor and you can be a hippie and grow gardens and like live to be 200, chop wood, carry water.
Mm-hmm.
You can be a billionaire and can afford, access to like stem cell therapy and all of that. But a lot of it has to do with like, just, are you happy? Because happiness is the most awesome anti-aging serum ever, That's why I love that we do comedy. I feel like I'm making people laugh, but humor is healing, but it's also an anti-aging serum. So like, come to my show and laugh because it's going to be healthy for you.
yeah, it's the best feeling and mood is when I finish set and I didn't bomb. At that moment, I can take anything. I can handle anything. But if I bomb, I'm not sure. I also want to tell you this. So for me, as I told you, I want to make money so I can hire the best people in the business. On, for example, on skin, I want to pay time for someone who worked the hardest in his life and he's the best. So I want to afford that anyway, but now I cannot afford that. So all or most of my information, I will for sure get them from my girl, because my girl is, she lived in Canada and she's personal trainer. So she also have better knowledge than me because I grew up in Yemen. We know nothing. Like, it's crazy.
Yes.
And from the Joe Rogan podcast, I don't watch the news or this regarding to how people feel about him. I just care what I benefit from it. And this is one of the benefits. I feel that it's nice. He brings the best people in the business as well. Like if there is something about skin or body, and it's like open conversation. I feel it's honest. So that's what I'm doing.
Ah, got it. I see what you're up to. Good job. Right on.
Yeah. And I wanted to, you say you are a life coach. So what's the first advice you will advise someone, like in general, like this is, you have to because what do you think it is? I think it's workout and eating healthy. That's how I feel.
What was the last sentence? You think it's what?
Workout and eating healthy.
Well, diet. I mean, that's that's a big question that you're asking. But yes, if you think about it, and especially after us coming out of this COVID thing, we all have been kind of, woken up to like, whoa, our physical body's health is super important. Like, you really can't do much when you're so sick you can't get out of bed. So I think our priorities have changed and we've started to revalue, bring the value of physical health is now more important, where it didn't used to be. You used to see overweight doctors, you used to see, it used to be, who cares how you feel as long as you're making money. And it's like now, it's like, no, it is about, are you healthy? Can you fight off a freaking virus? I can't believe one little invisible virus can kick our ass. So I think, yes, of course, physical health is priority for a lot of people, and specifically for me as well. Again, in moderation. People that over exercise, you can do injuries, and also if you do too much exercise, it can release free radicals that cause cellular damage. Then it ages you. There are some triathlete athletes who just look tore up and wrinkly because they just overdo it, because there is that threshold where the cell now, anyways, that's a whole another subject. But I mean, as a life coach, it's really a little bit for me. And in fact, I might be producing a comedy show around this of your identity and what is your identity? And also, do you know who you are? And do you know what you want? And that can change based on your ages and stages of life. But a lot of us, like, if you don't know yourself first, you can't know how to apply yourself or how to write comedy or how to show up in the world. And so when I work with my clients, a lot of times like, well, who are you? Or how would you describe yourself? Or what's your identity? So I'm thinking I'm going to produce this comedy show called Identity Crisis Comedy.
Wow.
And I'm going to have a lot of comedians talk about personal struggles and like what they figured out about themselves, but
Wow.
who are you and what do you want? That's like usually the questions that I ask my clients in their first session. And then I continue to check in like 2-3 sessions down the road. Let's get back to this. Do you feel like you know who you are more than our first appointment? Do you feel like you know what you want more than our first appointment? So I kind of always come back to like those 2 basic general things, because from there, oh my God, the conversations can go here, 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 here. And a lot of times it's like, oh, I describe myself as who my mom wants me to be, what society wants me to be, what Joe Rogan wants me to be, or it's like, well, who do you want to be and who do you think you are? Like even how you started today's call about, I'm a night person, I see the sea, I wake up and at midnight I'm on, like, wow, you already are getting to know who you are and like how you're wired and how you show up in the world. A lot of people don't even look in the mirror to like, who am I? It's like, you don't know who the fuck you are. How am I going to know who you are so I can book you on my comedy show when you don't even have like an identity of yourself? Like, will you fit into my comedy show? Will I book you as a book? Will I represent you as a manager or as an agent? Will I book you as a guest speaker on my podcast? If you don't have an identity, like who are you and what do you stand for and what are your values? That has to be developed. So physical health and then a good sense of your own identity. Anyways, you can make an appointment if you want.
I love it. I love it. You know what? I feel that you can go to work out, but if you have good trainer, you will achieve better result on your workout. Like let's say I go to work out for 1 month and I know what I'm doing, because 99% I see of the people in the gym are taxing their body. Yes, they are growing some muscle, but I will call it they are taxing their body for the long term with the way they work out. Anyway, but and I feel it's the same with life coach. But I think the biggest struggle and the biggest problem is how to find the right coach, because I feel like it's really hard to navigate finding the right information, finding the right coach.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with that a lot. And so for example, with my clients, I always offer them like a free 15-minute kind of interview first. A few 15 minutes, like you can ask me any questions for 15 minutes for me to kind of tell you who I am and how I work. And then I'm like, sleep on it. And then in the morning, you'll know like, oh, I want to work with Julie. Or in the morning, it's like, I don't really resonate with her. So I always kind of give people like a little nibble to know also like, am I going to be too intense? Am I going to be like kicking your ass? And you'd be like, I don't want to work that hard, So I can be very intense, and I only want to work with people that are like kind of like ready to like, okay, bust my balls and tell me what I need to do. Like I can scare people away that just like, how do you feel? And they just want a mother to coddle them. Like, that's not me. I'm more like a sports,
I love it.
coach. But I think, like looking at people's reviews is good. Also, I mean, I personally work a little differently because like I have a as you can see on the wall, I have my bachelor's in psychology, a master's in psychology, and I have a doctorate in psychology. So if somebody wants a little bit more, somebody that's, I was trained to be a psychologist is how I was trained. And I did 4,000 hours of an internship. So if somebody wants somebody that's a lot more educated and, is trained as a psychologist, but just happens to be working as a life coach, then I'm your girl, but it's and there are just life coaches that go down to Kinko's and print a business card and say, I'm a life coach. And it's like, cool. Like you definitely should interview them or find out like, have they, I don't know, do they feel like they have something of value? Do they have some life experience? I almost only get referrals from my existing clients. I rarely even advertise anymore. And that's also the sign of somebody that's, doing well is, I mean, I can advertise, but right now I don't even need to advertise because just people hear about me. Oh, my client or somebody else told me about you. Somebody else told me about. So like a lot of times, like I can't even find myself on the internet sometimes, but I'm luckily, if you're a good coach, you're going to get referred clients, but yeah, if you're somebody like you looking, see if they do a free consultation, and you got to use your intuition and your gut as well. And also, don't sign any long-term contracts,
Yeah.
But it is kind of challenging out there because there's no regulating body of life coaches, that's like, oh, this person has, 8 years of higher education. This person just printed a card at Kinko's, there's a whole world of like things in there.
It's because I had back surgery, and I learn a lot from this. I'm more healthy than before now, and that's also part of the journey. But also, what I want to tell you is one of the things is I went to physiotherapy for 3 months, and he was also part of the reason why I had back surgery. He was doing it wrong, and he was busy to the point where I had to book appointment 1 week before I go. And he is the one who like destroy it more or like mix it more. 3 months, everything he told me was wrong. My neurosurgeon was going crazy. So they are out there and people still doing mistakes. Do you have something on that or?
No.
Because I also wanted to tell you when you say use your gut, because they say that humans, we came from hunters and who tries to survive. So in our DNA and in our body, there is still this system of trying, like it's working. It makes sense when you try to survive and choose the best information. But I think the problem that we have that stop us of using this gut and what we get from our ancestors, and it's in our DNA, and also part of not knowing ourselves and how to put ourselves in the world, is the system and the religion and the information that generations are receiving from previous generations. Because I feel that we are forced into world and into body that we didn't sign up for, but we deal with it. And also the wrong information and the system is like the ketchup on the food.
Yeah, why me? Woulda, shoulda, couldas, I mean, there is something to intuition. There is something, that's why I mentioned earlier, muscle testing. There is something to, doing your homework and doing your research. And also, yeah, we're all kind of trying to decondition and deprogram ourselves from all the societal messages, and that's part of becoming yourself and becoming curious too. Like, is this me? Or is this just a repeated message that I now have hypnotized myself into believing?
Yeah.
So like I like to do life coaching. I like to send people a list of personality quizzes. I like to get somebody's human design chart. I like to know their astrology chart. I like to know their blood test. Like, I want to get to know you as much as possible through different like metrics. And then just also ask you, about your own experience. What did your mom always say? What did your dad always say? What did your teacher always say? So I kind of like to take a multi approach to like your astrology chart, your human design chart, send you like 5 different personality quizzes, and try to also, it's almost like here's a bowl of spaghetti and I'm trying to piece out like, who are you and who are you not? And a lot of times it's like, it's almost easier to figure out, well, I am not this, rather than who are you? Well, who are you not? And then at least we can start to chip away with like sculpting, you is like, well, I'm not a vegan. I'm not I'm not gay. I'm not, trans. I'm not a Republican. I'm not, like, okay, we're getting somewhere now. We're starting to define you. So, and then I've just been doing this for so long. I know how to ask the right questions that people like, oh, wow, I never thought of that. Let me think about how I want to answer that question. Okay, is that your answer, or is that an answer that will not get you in trouble? Or is that an answer that your mom or dad would approve of? you know, are you alone in the room? Is that an answer somebody eavesdropping would love to hear? Like,
Wow.
things like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers the original question.
You know, I can tell that you've been doing it for so long, and good, because you are really fascinating. Like everything you say is very interesting. Um, I just want to make sure I'm not gonna take more than the time that you wanna put. So how many more minutes do you think you can stay here?
I can do 7 more minutes.
Oh, okay. So I want to ask you, how do you mind like talking about, for example, your comedy writing process? And yeah.
Everybody has a different process, and I used to just sit with my laptop and write and think and write and think, and then it just kept feeling like I have homework to do and I'm back in high school.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm doing comedy and I'm the only one who's not having fun. And so I was, yeah, so I do a lot of open mics. I do some improv open mics, and a lot of times I just get my voice memos and I just record, you know, sometimes with my eyes closed, like walking around my house, like just pacing and talking, pacing and talking. And then I like to hang out with other comedians and just talk. And then I hear them laughing. I'm like, what did I say that was funny? And then I'm like, that was funny what I said. So my process is different than other people's. I know some people are actually really gifted comedy writers, and I've even had comedy coaches where they're like, they write the script word for word, and my process is a little backwards. I think it's because I might have dyslexia. I don't know. I might have ADD. I don't know. But I will, then when I kind of get some ideas, I do write them out because I will have an actual word for word written set. But I've learned that I need to do it backwards to write it down. But
Wow.
it also, it's just a lot of open mics. I mean, a lot of it is you just got to get on a stage with a microphone in your hand with audience members who are not all comedians. They're actually like people, you know, that aren't comedians, because most comedians are so nervous because they're going to go on stage next. They're not even really listening. And so I think even Sebastian Maniscalco, he does just talking and recording, and he was interviewed by Joe Rogan actually, and Joe Rogan writes all of his jokes down, and Sebastian's like, I rarely write my jokes down. He's more of a, and it kind of depends if you know you're an auditory person. If you're a very auditory person, then that style works. But yeah, I do go through my jokes and try them at another open mic and then update them, and I get feedback from people, but not everybody's, and sometimes you can get feedback that's the opposite, like
Yeah.
it's always, it's a thing that's alive and it's always growing. But I a lot of times will record myself and listen to myself, and then I type it out when I'm listening to myself.
Yeah. I love how our conversation is like it's linking, because again we are talking about knowing yourself, because I feel like that the biggest challenge of to be comedian is you need to grind and know who you are. Are you the person who has to write all the jokes? Are you the person, like, you need to find your way. And again, there are too many coaches in comedy, and you go to them as well, and they tell you like it's wordy, you cut it, I don't know, write it word to word, and maybe it works, maybe no, but sometimes the what they coach is for every human and for everyone who want to do comedy. So it's crazy. You want to say something?
Well, I think in a lot of things in life, and maybe even comedy as well, I think that going to some coaching or classes or reading a book, you want to learn some of the like foundational rules.
Yeah.
And then you can, then if you're good enough and you've been doing it long enough, then you can break the rules. But it's kind of nice to like feel like, okay, I'm honoring the craft by learning the craft, you know, and then I can break the rules. It's like going to driving school. Like I want to learn the rules and drive the car, and then I can break the rules and speed and cut corners and go down, you know. But we really, it can really kind of speed up how quickly you do well in comedy if you never let yourself learn some of the, a left turn and the rule of threes and, storytelling. Like if you learn the rules, then you can break the rules. But if you've never learned the rules and you try to figure it out on your own, it's going to take you 3 times longer. And I don't know, I'm not 21 anymore. I don't have that time. So that's just where I come from with the classes and the coaches. And sometimes classes and coaches contradict each other, but there is a basic kind of like set up punch. There are some classics that just, we understand human behavior. Oh, that's what makes humans laugh. Like, well, like we have to kind of pay attention to like, how humans are wired as well. They don't have a long attention span where they can listen to a 30-minute story and then the punchline comes at the end. They're going to be like falling asleep or,
Yeah, and I really love so much doing this podcast, just to talk to people like you and get some like fascinating answers, like your answers. And I feel like that's really why I'm doing it. And I feel like people like you change the rule of the time. Like the time with you goes so fast. It's like 45 minutes. That was like faster than usual, how 45 minutes feels. So I really want to thank you so much for giving me the opportunity and doing this. Thank you so much.
Yes. So if you liked my set, I'm juliekcomedy.com. And if you want a therapy appointment or a coaching appointment, it's drjuliek.com.
Thank you so much. And I hope to see you in the open mics or hopefully one day in Las Vegas.
Yes, Vegas. I'm going there the 26th. So yeah, I'll see you in Vegas.
No, for me, I think it will take a couple of years, but I can see it will happen. So I mean, like to be in the US because I'm still in Cyprus, and it's gonna be a couple of years, but I can already see it in my mind. So hopefully it will happen in reality.
Yes, in probably less than 1 year is what I'm wishing for.
I don't think that will be possible, but it will happen, long or short. So I'm talking about myself. I hope we didn't.
I know.
Yeah, because less than 1 year, it's impossible because of the process and the immigration stuff, but it's hopefully going to happen. So thank you so much, and see you in maybe the open mics in the Zoom soon.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Good to see you in an open mic. Thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate it. You're amazing. I'm very proud of you. You're doing a good job.
Oh my God. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Bye-bye.